Hello, Jim here. I had a great start to February. Just in the first week, I'd made nearly $2,400. I'm going to talk about the trades that I made. I made a mix of cash secured puts, covered calls, and vertical put credit spreads. I'm going to talk about why the trades worked out. And at the end of the video, I'm going to actually go over the trades themselves. So stay tuned until the very end. I think it's going to be well worth your while. Okay, let's jump right in. One of the most important pieces of trading or investing is picking the right companies. I like to use Seeking Alpha. I use Seeking Alpha to identify profitability, return on equity, return on assets. I also like to use it to look at the valuation. How much debt do they have? How much cash do they have on hand? Are they generating a lot of cash flow? I also will use it to look at dividends and then also growth. How quickly are they growing? And then finally, momentum. Now, recently, I've also started to look at momentum. If they have really good momentum, they can potentially grow even faster than the typical company out there. So those are the initial things I look at, and it can make a huge difference. If you get that right, then typically your trading is going to go well too. Okay, now once you've identified a really good company, I do believe because the market is so highly priced currently, it's important to use protected puts and calls. So if you're looking at a cash secured put, look $10 out, see if the long put is relatively inexpensive because if the market dives, it will protect you on the downside. You could put those shares to someone else if the stock dives majorly, or you could potentially sell that long put and lower your cost basis. Now, on the flip side, I've gotten in trouble at times with covered calls. I'm suggesting, and I'm beginning to do this now, is to do call credit spreads or to buy the long call. So again, if the stock shoots through the roof, you might only miss out on a little piece, the amount between the two different strikes. So going forward, I'm going to probably do both, mainly because on the call side, I don't want to miss a great opportunities. Two companies come to mind when I think about that. One is Palantir. It just shot up so quickly. My covered call became so deep in the money. And then the other one is APP, the App Loving company. It's just shot through the roof over the last couple of days. And again, if you had a call spread, then you would only miss out on a little bit of that upward potential. Now, if you do own APP, I suggest you take some profits because I do think at some point it's going to come back down significantly. So, I like to take profits from time to time, especially when a company shoots up like that. I did that with NVIDIA. I've sold a little bit of NVIDIA over the last couple of years. So just wanted to mention that. Now, two other important pieces of, probably just knowledge or things to understand when you trade. One is assignment sometimes can be your friend. Some of my biggest misses or missed opportunities when I should have let it get assigned. Again, APP is another great example. The App Loving company, I rolled out of an assignment, which now looking back, I could have had a huge gain in that company if I had just allowed it to be assigned. So you need to be careful and be sure you're not missing a great opportunity. That's also important to know, what is a good value for that company. So you can identify, should I allow the assignment to occur because this company is going to be worth double in a couple of years and it's worth owning. And also, it's important to be strategic around earnings. I try to avoid them. Sometimes I can't, but I'm definitely looking at earnings in most of my trades. Now, if the stock is overpriced, I'm going to avoid earnings completely. Now, if the stock is not overpriced, then I might take a little bit more risk with earnings, but be strategic with earnings. My suggestion is to avoid them or allow earnings to occur. And if the stock dives and it's a good stock, then it might be, again, another great opportunity to pick up that stock or to sell puts on it. And then finally, I tell this to most of the members, align your risk with your comfort level. So I might do 2 contracts. I might pick a 20 delta. You may be more comfortable with 1 contract and picking, a less risky strike, maybe an even lower strike in the case of a put. I do have members in my membership that you take a little bit more risk. I'm very risk averse. So you might decide, well, you do want to take more risk. You want to do more contracts. I have one member who's been doing some trades recently on Intel, and he's been doing 20 contracts, taking them a little bit less risky, and has earned some pretty good profits on it. If you're curious about my membership, it might be a good point to mention that. Details will be in my description. I have 3 levels. I have what I call my investor club, my traders club, and my coaching club. All 3 of those, you get access to my trades. In the trader club, you also get access to the trading meetings that we have every other week. It's my trader club meeting. We have one coming up this Sunday at 8 p.m. And then my coaching club includes all that you get with investor and trader club, but then you also get 2 coaching sessions each month, typically around 15 minutes. Sometimes they go a little bit longer. But if you need a little bit more hand-holding, then it's a good opportunity. Now, also with the Trader Club, you get Discord. We decided to not have that at the lower level where you can get a week for free, mainly because we want it to be more exclusive. I do have a lot of people who are sharing their trades. Some people are trading differently than I am. They're doing 0 DTE. They're doing Bitcoin-related types of trades. And it's gotten pretty active. I do mention to my members, if you copy someone's trade, be sure you know what you're getting into and you're not taking too much risk. I just wanted to mention those key points because they are very important. And when I do have new members, join, I always suggest, look at my trade or one of the other members' trades and adjust it for your liking, for your comfort level. Again, you may do different number of contracts. You might do different strikes. You might decide to do a cash secured put versus a vertical put credit spread. My goal is for people to learn how to trade and not necessarily, spoon feed you with my trades and you just copy my trades. You may see something I don't see. You may see a way of doing a trade that's a little bit different that maybe make it a lot more profitable. So just wanted to mention that. Next, we'll actually go over my trades that I had in the beginning of February. I believe there were 8 or 9 trades, and I made over, I think, right around 2,400 or 2,429. So let's jump into that. So stay tuned. I think you're going to really enjoy this next part. Okay, here are my trades from my first week of February. I did 9 trades. The first was XLK. I did that on last Monday. In my Fidelity IRA, it was 215, 205. XLK is a technology ETF. So it's almost like NASDAQ, but a lot less expensive, a little bit easier on the wallet. At the time, it was 232, and I brought in 291, which is almost like a 135% return. So, and I believe the days to expiration was right around 46. Then I did NVIDIA. I did actually two trades on NVIDIA. I did the first one back in towards the end of January, 127. Then I rolled, and it was 110, 100. And I got into the trade when NVIDIA had dropped so much because of that deep seek from the Chinese. I personally, I don't really trust the Chinese, so I still think that this price range for NVIDIA is really good, around 110, 100. And then I rolled it, kept the same strikes, 110, 100, rolled it from 214 to 228. In total, I brought in 545. In the roll, I brought in 302.57. So this was almost like a 271% return if you look at it on a yearly basis. So it worked out really well. Then I did a Zoom. It was also a roll. Originally did it 122, rolled it on 24. It was expiring on 221, 83.77, 3 contracts. So actually this isn't, this was the second roll. So I brought in 290 and it worked out pretty well. I don't know why I didn't mark that. Should have had this as 290. Yeah, so it was a pretty good return. It was literally 17 days. So that worked out pretty well. Then I did PayPal. PayPal got hit pretty hard with earnings. And this was in my Fidelity Roth. I did one contract cash secured put. This was one of my wheel trades. And I did it at 77.50 a 33. Um, I believe it's pretty near in the money now, but no, actually, I believe Zoom is up above 84 now. So it got in the money for a short period of time. But I made 223.32. Required capital is a little bit higher, of course, because it's a cash secured put, but it's like a 24% return with using 45 days for the expiration. And then I did Coke. This was a covered call. So I literally opened up two Coca-Cola 67.50 strikes or 27 Delta expiring in 6/20, June 20th. At the time, it was 63.86. Coke came out with good earnings, and I believe it's in the high 60s now. But this is like a 5% return using 12,000 as the cost basis. Now, my Coke shares I've owned since the 80s, so my cost basis is probably a tenth of that, but I just wanted to keep it a little more realistic. And then I did ASO. ASO, which is Academy Sports, is kind of unique. I've been rolling it and rolling it and rolling it, and I'm keeping it at the same strike, 57.50. It has come out of the money, gone back in the money. It's currently fairly deep in the money, but I've been able to make a pretty good return. So I rolled it to 417, 57.50, kept the same strikes. I've made nearly $2,000 just rolling this Academy Sports this past year. This last one was 247. And it's like an 11% return with the latest roll. But if I combine all the, how much capital was required and how many times I've rolled it and all the premium, it's like a 22% return just rolling on a yearly basis. So, and I like them I figure they're going to get assigned to me at some point, and then I'll start selling covered calls. Then Micron, I originally started this trade on October 1st. I rolled it on 2.6. It was been kind of in the money the whole time. It like goes slightly in the money and then comes back out. At that time, it was 92.30. I think today it got back up over 95. And I rolled it out to 321. Kept the same two strikes. And this is like 118% yearly return. And it has a 43 DTE. So I really like trading Micron. I own some. I want to own more. Another NVIDIA trade. This was a different one. One I've had a little bit longer. And one at 119, 109. And I rolled it too. I rolled it from 221. Kept the same strikes. Actually, I lowered the strikes by $1. And rolled it out to 321. And lowered the strikes from 119, 109 to 118, 108. And brought in $334. I don't have this added over here, but that's probably combined, it's closer to $600. And this is like a 171% return. Since then, NVIDIA's gone up. I believe it might be in the low 130s again. So it's pretty far. Both of my NVIDIA trades are pretty far outside the money. And then last but not least is Johnson & Johnson, and I rolled a covered call with it. I rolled it from 155 with a 20 Delta out to 719.25 and increased it to 160 and brought in 337 in premium. I brought in a total of 587.92 in premium with Johnson & Johnson. And I'm actually, Johnson & Johnson had a little bit of a bounce, and at this point, it is profitable. At one time, it was a loss when it was originally assigned to me. And this is like a 3% return, which does double the dividend. I'm chewing on a cough drop. I don't want to cough too much during this video. But it worked out pretty well. So now it's definitely a profitable trade. I think I've got maybe a 10%. It's 10% profitable. And I think I've done another covered call on it recently. So I made $24.77. which is like, if you look at just required capital, this here, it's like a 3.7% return in 1 week. Now, if I base it on the total assigned coverage that's required, it's almost like a 1.6% return. So you can see just 1 week of trades, just these 9 trades. And I did one on Monday, I did 3 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, and 1 on Friday. And that's my MO. That's what I do. I like to trade anywhere from 1 to 3 trades on a daily basis. Typically, I probably average closer to 2 trades, but that may also be closing a trade. But I really like to, stick to that kind of scenario. I typically get on the market around 10, and if I can make 1 or 2 trades right off the bat, then I'm done for the rest of the day. I go on and do other things like coaching or consulting. And then you see here, my goal is 2,000 weekly. So for my first week, I met my goal pretty quickly, and it kind of gave me a step up for starting this week. And this week I've also met my goal. I think I'm currently a little bit over 4,000, which for 2 weeks, that's what my goal typically is. So I'll probably do one more trade tomorrow, maybe 1 or 2, and then again I'll be done. I'll go on and do other things. It's important for me not to be on the market too much. A lot of time I spend a lot of time answering people's questions, responding to messages in Patreon as well as Discord. So what's key for me is again, try not to be on the market in more than maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours on a daily basis. A lot of days it's less than that. It may be 30 or 40 minutes, and it wouldn't be as much if I wasn't writing it all up. Every time I do one of these trades, I post it to Patreon, I post it to Discord, and I get a lot of questions. Some people are learning not to just take my trades, but potentially make them better. So I've noticed some members, especially in the Discord, have done really well. They've taken it to the next level. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know what you think. For that week, I did mostly vertical put credit spreads, 2 cash secured puts, and then 2 covered calls. And they were all fairly straightforward, fairly safe, not way overvalued. What kind of trades do you like to do? Please leave a comment. Share with me some of your favorite trades or some of the trades that worked out the best for you. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you next time.